My name is H.A. Goodman, and I'm an author, columnist, and journalist. Hit subscribe right now. Very, very happy and honored that WikiLeaks shared my Times of Israel article, Julian Assange is a tzaddik, and it is an article about, tzaddik is a Hebrew word for a person who does good deeds, and what Julian Assange has done is expose truth in a world of darkness. That's why he's persecuted. People don't want their dirty laundry aired. He is the epitome of a journalist. That's why everything he publishes is 100% pristine. No spin or commentary or anything. It's just, it is what it is. Bernie was cheated. They couldn't stand the reality. People said, hey, we're not going to vote for corrupt individuals, or they didn't. We have no idea if that even influenced the election to the point of Clinton losing. There are about 30 different reasons she lost. I stated in 2015 she would lose in endless articles and on this channel. Hit subscribe right now. I'm very, very happy that WikiLeaks shared that Times of Israel article, Julian Assange is a tzaddik. It's going down, ladies and gentlemen, but not the way we planned, or there is no plan that anyone should trust. It's up and down. We're fighting. Trump, hopefully, is battling. Michael Flynn was set up from the very beginning on this channel. I stated, and you can go back, and I can actually just go back, the beginning of 2017. It was like February. I stated that Trump should never have fired. The moment he was forced to resign, he should never have let Michael Flynn go. What they did, number one, was set him up. They told him not to bring legal counsel. They made it seem like it wasn't an interrogation. He had no idea that he was being investigated. They deleted evidence from cell phones. They won't release the 302s. So there's all this setup, and this is what I'm trying to say to you. When I say, oh well, you know what, when I have my views against Q, they don't care about a message board. They really don't, because they're straight up just fabricating evidence. Anything they feel is a threat to them, they take care of, whether it's fabricating evidence with General Michael Flynn or fabricating evidence with the Steele dossier and CrowdStrike assessment that was purchased, both of which were purchased by Hillary Clinton. Money flowed into, the public record knowledge. See, if you really want the truth, you can look at the public record and just see how duplicitous and disingenuous and insidious they are. That correlates directly to what I'm saying. Absolutely directly to what I'm saying. Here's a Rudy Giuliani tweet. The following article shows from beginning the Mueller-Comey inquiry was not of a crime, but traps set to invent them. They used process crimes to justify the possibility of an overall crime. They had no evidence of Trump-Russia. So what they did is they purchased the Steele dossier, they purchased CrowdStrike assessments. The U.S. government wasn't allowed to see the DNC servers, so that gave them culpable deniability. Well, we haven't actually seen the server, so you can't sue us. You can't sue the government, but this was just the way the process was done. Papadopoulos was investigated. He lied during an interrogation, but that was due to when FBI agents, whether it's Flynn or Papadopoulos or anyone. With Flynn, they made it seem that there was no interrogation. With Papadopoulos, they made it seem like his life would be in prison. Either way, if you're trying to, it's kind of like Simon Says. Simon says, put your hand up. So put your hand up. Oh, you lied. So it's like the endless lies with Clinton. Oh, I didn't know what the C meant. She didn't know what classified meant. That's what she told the FBI. Or confidential, I'm sorry. Confidential, secret, and top secret are three classifications of confidential information. She didn't know what confidential meant. They let her slide on that. During the IG report, there was actually even a statement that stated there was a person who actually did lie to the FBI. There was a person who did lie to the FBI, and they didn't get him on it during the investigation. So I'll continue. It was Strzok's insurance policy to get President Trump out of office. See how they trapped a general into false statements they didn't believe were false. So when it comes to actually trying to set up Flynn, they didn't even believe. If you look at the sentencing memo, if you look at the evidence regarding Comey's testimony, at first he says, oh, well, no, we don't think Flynn lied. Then he says, oh, yeah, Flynn lied. But they won't release the evidence. They won't release the evidence. The sentencing memo states the circumstances of the defendant's interview also show that his decision to make false statements was voluntary and intentional. No, but see, then it goes on. The FBI Director Andrew McCabe informed the defendant about the topic of the interview. But see, the context is missing there. It was an informal call. Andrew McCabe called up the then National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and said, hey, how you doing? Do you want to meet some agents? It wasn't, hey, you're going to risk jail time. Hey, you know what? This is an interrogation and it's official. They told him, don't bring an attorney. Don't bring legal counsel. He could have gotten the White House legal counsel at no cost to himself and just protected himself from all of this. And the second, and this is my critique of President Trump, and the second that President Trump did not say, no, you're not going to make me, because he was not going to get impeached because of one person. He stuck with Scott Pruitt longer. And that guy had endless, issues with the media, scandals, whatever. The FBI director, then FBI Director Andrew McCabe, informed the defendant about the topic. So what? McCabe called the defendant to arrange an interview. That's not true. He called the defendant that he didn't realize it was an interview. He thought it was a discussion. And explained that the FBI needed to talk to him in light of the media coverage and public discussion. The media coverage was fed to the media by journalists who were pretty much embedded or in cahoots with FBI agents. That's what Michael Horowitz's IG report stated. Like I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, the public record is enough to connect any dots. You don't need to know that these people are insidious. You don't need to know that. I mean, you don't need anything other than the public record to know that these people are insidious. You don't need anything other than the reality that these people have done everything possible to fabricate crimes. They have the media. By the way, when Jordan Sathers yesterday said, well, disinformation is important, and, he has to circumvent the media through 8chan. No. First of all, they're laughing their behinds off. Second of all, the left is not afraid of any belief that Trump speaks through 8chan. Number one. Number two, disinformation only affects Jordan Sathers' followers. They don't affect anyone. It's not like John Brennan, or it's not like, Clinton or the Democratic Party is like, oh my God, we're so misinformed by what these riddles are saying. It's not affecting them. So disinformation is another way of saying, trust Sessions, trust the plan, trust Mueller, trust JFK Jr. All of these things are nonsense. And then the rebuttal is, well, Q never said this. Yeah, Q doesn't say anything. It's riddles. So you take credit for what happened, and you don't take credit. And it's an obvious attempt at complacency. And worse than that. I can go on forever. But there is no plan. I'm trying to say, look what's taking place. They set up Michael Flynn. They deleted evidence, by the way. We'll get to that in a second. And then here, federal judge rejects former National Security Advisor Flynn's suggestion that he should have been warned of the consequences of lying to the FBI, telling a judge false statements were voluntary and intentional. Telling a Judge Flynn's statements, federal prosecutors, of course, they were voluntary and intentional because it was entrapment. And it wasn't, by the way, they weren't actually false statements. It was something that he didn't remember saying. So during the interview, the FBI gave the defendant multiple opportunities to correct the false statements by revisiting key questions. By revisiting key questions, correct false statements, if you want to get somebody, even on what you had for lunch last week, You can get somebody to you can say that somebody lied on what they had for lunch last week if they don't remember that they had rosemary potatoes with their omelet or whatever, with their steak. It wasn't rosemary potatoes, it was mashed potatoes. You're in jail. This is stupid. This is ridiculous. During the interview, the FBI gave, when the defendant said he did not, the defendant, don't you love that? He was the national security advisor, and because they had a whole bunch of people, and they had a whole bunch of people working on a complete cover-up and setup. Now he's the defendant. When the defendant said he did not remember something he knew he said, how do you know he knew he said anything? How do you know he knew he said anything? They used the exact word the defendant had used in order to prompt a truthful response, but the defendant never corrected his false statement. So that's not really lying under oath. You're not really lying under oath. So it's you're lying to FBI agents. You lie to an FBI agent. You're not lying under oath. And the FBI agents, that Peter Strzok, ladies and gentlemen, Peter Strzok interviewed Michael Flynn. Peter Strzok interviewed Michael Flynn. Then interviewed Hillary Clinton. The lead investigator had text messages stating that he was completely... He wanted Clinton to win 1,000,000-0. That's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. That's the problem. The letter from Chuck Grassley is critically important, asking for declassification of Defense Intelligence Agency docs on... Okay, so... On May 25th, the personnel provided judiciary a classified briefing and documents related to Michael Flynn. I am requesting declassify key piece of information in the briefing. Given the nature of the briefing and documents, they want to declassify information, but it's not really going to help any. Trump has to act. And when anything does eventually take place, it'll be because of in part, because of the journalism and the activism of Tom Fitton, of Paul Sperry, of Kimberly Strassel, of Sarah Carter, of John Solomon, of voices and people like Joe DeGeneva, Victoria Tenzing, Rudy Giuliani, to a small part, my writing. I'm not putting myself in the category of people I just named. It won't be because of a message board or anything else. The public record here is enough, and declassifying information is not enough. Because if you declassify information, you get Peter Strzok stated that he will stop Trump, and then it's spun to, it's just my opinion, or his opinion. That's ridiculous. It's absurd. It's Orwellian. And for people who don't know, like this one guy, like, Orwell, we didn't even like each other. Well, that's a whole other story. Orwell, this is exactly why George Orwell wrote 1984. And Animal Farm also, but 1984. Because you have Big Brother dictating not only speech and semantics and words and using euphemisms like verbal refuse, which is what George Orwell stated euphemisms were, in Why I Write. When he wrote Why I Write, he talked about euphemisms and how words are used to manipulate. But FBI deleted text messages. They deleted text messages. They deleted evidence. They deleted Peter Strzok text messages. FBI deleted Peter Strzok text messages on Michael Flynn interview. This is a huge problem. This is a really, really, really big problem. And it's a big problem, ladies and gentlemen, because you are looking now at, you are essentially looking at criminal behavior sanctioned by a process, they got the ball rolling in terms of an investigation, and this behemoth of an investigation now is backed by the state. The credibility of the state is at risk now. And this is why they can't simply say, oh, well, we set up Trump. The state runs by political will. The political will, unfortunately, has always been, even though he became president, the political will has been more aligned with 8 years of President Obama taking control of the government, of the intelligence community, of the media. Now you have good human beings who literally think that Trump speaks through 8chan. That's not happening. Notice how the left doesn't have to have Hillary Clinton or John Brennan or James Clapper or John Podesta or anyone speak through Reddit. They don't need that. They just straight up sell uranium. And they just straight up allow the uranium sale to take place with money flowing into the Clinton Foundation. There's no correlation. Money from UBS, no correlation to what Clinton did for them. Boeing giving money to the Clinton Foundation, no correlation. No correlation ever. Never a correlation. Never a correlation, never anything. With when the media, and you're not circumventing the media through any other channel. You don't need to circumvent the media. You need to just look at public record evidence. And the best thing to do is, if Trump knows he's not going to get reelected because people are tired and they're angry and they're frustrated, not trust the plan, then this will be expedited. President Trump needs to know he will not get reelected if he does not fight back. That's one of the great things about Trump. He is said to have fought back. James Comey getting fired is not enough of that. If that didn't even work out, he fired Comey, then they got the Mueller investigation. Comey might have been slithery enough to, I doubt, but he probably could have waited for the IG report, then fired Comey. Just from insubordination. And the whole thing, Comey had to be fired. But the thing is, there are too many obstacles Trump faced and faces now. I believe that Clinton will eventually get indicted. I believe that all the people around her who have committed criminal acts, many of them will get indicted and, have to stand trial. Primarily because power is slipping from Hillary Clinton as an individual. Both Bill and Hillary as a dynasty. Their dynasty has ended. They're now running on fumes, but the fumes are enough. Ladies and gentlemen, when you watch this channel, you might disagree with me, you might dislike me, you might think I'm annoying, or you might like me, or you might say, well, I like you, and I listen to the message boards also. However you feel about me or my message, number one, Hillary Clinton is at her least powerful, influential point in decades, okay, since the governor's mansion in Arkansas. Number two, it's still enough to cause a major headache for Trump. Number three, I do think 2019 will show Trump fighting back big time. I do think that. I do believe that something huge is going to happen. But it won't be from just declassifying things. And it won't be from just allowing... the FBI deleted text messages. The FBI deleted text messages And the FBI will not disclose information, and the Justice Department it won't disclose information. And if you look right now, I mean, you go to Sarah Carter or John Solomon. If you go to Sarah Carter, John Solomon, that's all the information you need to know. GOP congressman urged Trump to pardon Flynn. Trump will pardon Flynn. And Trump will eventually pardon Flynn. I do believe that. So, if you're watching 20 minutes in, Trump will eventually pardon Flynn. Let people know that minute 20, Trump pardon. GOP congressmen want Trump to pardon Flynn, Matt Gaetz, but he needs to pardon Flynn on grounds simply that he was set up. There is no Trump-Russia. There is no direct connection. There's a conspiracy theory on the left called Trump-Russia that is sanctioned by the government, sanctioned by the media, sanctioned by people who want to believe anything to hurt Trump. There's a conspiracy theory on the right called QAnon, or conservatives called QAnon. And it's believed by good people that I respect, good human beings who want an answer, and they're being duped. Because Trump ain't speaking through 8chan. And I don't care how many... Military intelligence aren't fortune tellers, ladies and gentlemen. Let people know. When Mr. Sather yesterday said, well, how about all these coincidences? So what? That doesn't... Who said that military intelligence had a crystal ball or that could read tarot cards? If you want them to tell you if you'll have a long life and a happy life, then just go to the Pentagon tomorrow and, give out your palm and have them read it. That does not mean that they're working with Trump to take down anyone. Predicting the future is predicting the future. You can go all around Los Angeles right now or any city, and there are tarot readers, there are fortune tellers. In 2019. And it will never end because people want some kind of hope. If you can't believe in God, if you're not an atheist, if you can't believe in yourself, or if you can't believe in some kind of positive thing, viewpoint in the world, if you're just a normal human being who believes in all of those things but needs an extra oomph, you go to a fortune teller. I suggest not to, because that could mess with your mind big time. But Orson Welles became an amateur fortune teller just for fun at parties because he spent so much time with fortune tellers. He states this on YouTube. It's on YouTube. I love Orson Welles, Citizen Kane. Orson Welles, and so you can look, there are different tells, different things that you can look at somebody if you've done it a long time. And then they say, well, how did you know that? Tarot cards, all of these things. Seances. Harry Houdini exposed seances. Why? Because he wanted to speak to his deceased mother. People are yearning for hope, and they want an answer to the corruption. I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, they're pretty powerful. The left is pretty powerful. Democrats are pretty powerful. The media is pretty powerful. The deep state or intelligence community around them, pretty powerful. I have friends who are very intelligent, who believe that Trump worked with Russia, and they don't care the evidence that shows it to be a conspiracy theory, just like the people on the QAnon message boards or whatever, listening to Sather and others, don't care what their eyes show them, which is that this is ridiculous. Well, he changed his call sign to Q. Yeah, and so what? Well, they knew about the Lord's Prayer. Well, what does that even mean? So therefore, that means that there's military intelligence? No. That doesn't mean that, because these people aren't fortune tellers. They're government employees. If they're told to jump by their boss, which is like any corporation, people say, how high? The government, especially in the intelligence community, is run by like a corporation. Well, any bureaucracy or hierarchy. But GOP congressman urges Trump to pardon Flynn. They'll eventually pardon Flynn after declassified memos, eventually declassified memos, and enough information stating that there was criminal behavior. Flynn needs to be pardoned. So whether you disagree with me on my stance on things or whatever, it doesn't matter. Flynn needs to be pardoned. So share this segment just for that. Oh, and by the way, if somebody says where we go one, we go all, let's say good people, like, or whatever, that doesn't mean that too doesn't mean that, because it's like a great statement, it's like a unifying statement, but it's a marketing tactic. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that Trump is speaking through 8chan. That's a leap of logic that has no evidence to back it up. But anyway, President Trump needs to pardon Flynn. The first act. Because if you pardon General Flynn, that's the first foundation of the Mueller probe and of Trump Russia. You pardon Flynn, you destroy the legitimacy of a fabricated investigation. You pardon Flynn, you do what's right for an honorable man. Flynn is an honorable man. You can disagree with him on policies. Certain policies I disagree with General Flynn on, but certain policies I agree with General Flynn on. But I know that he's an honorable man. And I know that he did not do anything to hurt the country. Peter Strzok did more to hurt the country in one text than Flynn ever did in his whole life. What they did to Michael Flynn is not just a travesty, unjust, but it was an insidious attempt, a disgusting, vile attempt to get at President Trump. And Trump obliged. It's important to note that Trump obliged. It is important to note that Trump allowed it to take place. He should have fought General Flynn. He should have fought for General Flynn and fired Comey. And if they cared about it, declassified everything within the first 6-7 months. It was a you-know-what show to begin with anyway. And he should have urged an investigation. He should have fired Mueller after like 7 months, 6 months of not finding anything. Let the chips fall where they may. Let the chips fall where they may. Sometimes you just have to you have to lance this boiling, disgusting, rotten investigation called Mueller, called Trump Russia. It never happened. And it's like right when you realize, my God, this is a complete hoax, Trump Russia, they double down and they hunker down and they dig their heels in more and they focus on yet another vapid correlation. Notice there's so many correlations and connecting the dots, yet there's no evidence. The one piece of categorical evidence is that Hillary Clinton transferred top secret intelligence and she used a private server outside the United States government and she transferred the top secret intelligence from JWICs and other secure channels, and that is a crime and that is not debatable. It's not up for debate. Everything else falls in place. It is so easy for Trump to take them all down. Obviously, there are things preventing him. But it is easy for him to do so if he simply, there's either things preventing him, like bureaucracy, or he's making the wrong move and he's listening to establishment advisors, where they're saying, don't, upend the apple cart, because if you do, it'll hurt the economy, it'll hurt your reelection, all this nonsense. This is serious stuff. It's the future of our country. Would you put your annuity or your life savings into a Q post? Would you put your life savings into the belief that Hillary Clinton used a server outside of the United States government? Yeah, you would double your money because she used a server outside the United States government. You wouldn't risk your life savings on the validity of a Q post. There's a reason that you wouldn't risk your annuity or your savings or your stocks or gold, whatever, on anything but the reality, a sure thing, something that is a fact. If someone says to you, okay, I'll bet you your life savings that Hillary Clinton did use an email server outside of the United States government. Okay, she did. She admits she did. That's enough for the Espionage Act. That's my point. That's my point. You don't need anything else. They went after Flynn in large part also because he spoke out against Hillary Clinton. During the campaign trail, I quoted him on MSNBC when I was on MSNBC. And I was on MSNBC. And I said General Michael Flynn on CNN with Jake Tapper states that Hillary Clinton harmed national security. Then you get Jake Tapper. Well, how can you prove it? See, they never connect the dots with Clinton. But there is no anyway, getting back to the overall initial point. Trump needs to pardon. He will pardon once there's more political will. Political will take place after there's political will is what runs decisions in Washington, unfortunately. Not so much integrity or principle. When political will and principle combine, you get Trump pardoning Michael Flynn. Once classified data or classified data is declassified, or these FBI text messages are found, or new information, which is coming up every day, surfaces regarding the overt setup. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Definitely you want to subscribe to this channel, because when it all goes down, it'll go down from public record, and it'll go down from direct statements, not riddles, not fortune tellers who are government officials. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Thank you.